Facebook, Spotify, and Instagram. You could also catch me on the YouTube Live with positive content back to back. I'm inviting all people to black. Yes, Lobby and Power is black to black, and everybody invited. So share it and like it. For we all are united and black to black. Yes, Lobby and Power is black to black, and everybody invited. So share it and like it. For we all are united and black to black. Yes. This is your mortal immortal, inviting each and everyone to log on to all streaming platforms to Black with your hosts Andre and Karen. So subscribe, share, like and comment, and come along. Let me enjoy the vibes. Diggy diggy, diggy diggy, black to black, black to black, black to black.
Like light, youths them caught in a system cold, chasing shadows that take their soul. But the rhythm of hope is strong. Feel the beat it guide us along. Plant the seed of change in the ground and reap the fruits of love from this song. I'm sure we can rise from the shadows as we shine. Through the pain and the sorrows, leave the darkness behind. For the youths and the future, let the healing begin. In the rhythm of we island, let love pull us in. So come from the dust till dawn, as we rise up every morn. We'll fly through the skies like plane, all people will rise again. Hand in hand is how we'll start. Everyone can play their part. Man, woman and child come in, let the cleansing begin. Driving we mad, and the youths them can't find no work, cause the system take them for joke. Let the positive fight control, we must not lose sight of our goal. In spite the stress and the strain, let us build our country again. I'm sure we can rise from the shadows as we shine. Through the pain and the sorrow, leave the darkness behind. For the youths and the future, let the healing begin. In the rhythm of the island, let love pull us in. So come from the dust till dawn, as we rise up every morn. We'll fly through the skies like plane, all people will rise again. Hand in hand is how we'll start. Everyone can play their part. Man, woman and child come in, let the cleansing begin. Politicians drive the nice car, while the poor man bite the finger. Oil money blow away like dust. The people don't know who to trust. But every crisis we will master and rise to triumph from disaster. We will cast the evil away. We make the solemn pledge here today. I'm sure we can rise from the shadows as we shine. Through and the future let the healing begin. In the rhythm of the island, let love pull us in. So come from the dust till dawn, as we rise up every morn. We'll fly through the skies like plane.
Alright, Black to Black, greetings.
Welcome Black, welcome Black.
Welcome, Black man. Good to see you all after so long.
We don't come back from we Carnival, jump up. Right, so yeah, we here.
We are black.
We are Black.
Yes, man.
You know, I know a few people that have a problem with us referring to ourselves as Black. I like to always tell them one of the first things that we claim when we started to get into the African consciousness was Kemet. I know Egypt is Kemet is the name of the place. But then you say that the translation of Kemet, or the meaning of Kemet is land of the blacks.
Okay.
So that it would mean that, and that you say that the word Kemet come from our ancient African ancestors.
Yeah.
So it would mean that they knew this as the color black. And they saw themselves close to that.
Yeah.
Right? So I have no problem with it at all. And one of the things I say is time for us to redefine us.
Agree.
Right? Oxford can define us. Okay. Webster can define us.
Okay.
We are doing it now. So that's why we're here today with you. I would have seen you give a talk at the Igungun Festival in Lavantil in the
Rhythm section.
Right? And so since that I saying well here, I would like you on the program. We usually do a postmortem. We wouldn't necessarily call this the postmortem, but I would like us to get into, you know, what we see in the Carnival. The fact that even though some of us as African people in Trinidad and Tobago don't want to talk about how the Carnival has moved so far away from its roots. It has moved so far away from the places and spaces where people in certain communities could actually make money off of the Carnival as well. And what we see, what we think we could do, or what we could offer as solutions to improve that, as well as probably even talk about, as we were just mentioning, some of the things we see in Carnival, like the song we open with. Yeah.
That song, right? That song on my mind whole night. I get up with it on my mind this morning. I come in the shop, I put it on. While I lighted my little incense and thing, I said, "Dog, this song, boy." It's one of them songs that is just get a good feeling, you know. The place just need that right now. You know what I mean? Yeah, Trinidad is a happy place, music is a happy music. But for something, we need that beacon, boy. We need that thing to hold on to as the, you know, hope that they have something good to look forward to. You know, and as a young fella coming out where he come out from, I had to give him real praise because I listened to him. He gave a little speech coming out in the Lanyap, which is Champs in concert. You know, and he basically was asking the crowd, you know, because mostly it's old people in the crowd, you know, don't cast out the youths on them, don't give up on them because it's not them. You know, they're really growing up in a system that working against them. And that we really should get them a better, try to get them a better country. You know, and work with them and that kind of thing. And he pledged to clean up the music a little bit, which is that real big for me. Because as I say, I would have never, call myself a young brother fan. You know, based on where he started off and the music he was singing. And you know, the bridging of the gap and that music is shit, boy. You know, but after you listen to him and you listen to where he come from, you listen to the story and thing, and then he come and he do in one season. You come third in the people and them Calypso Monarch. You come second in the Ultimate Soca Champion. You mash up the Carnival.
You have a song that is considered one of the best, biggest songs of the Carnival.
And he done gone, he done traveling already, you know. So, good night. All welcome.
Introduce yourself to
the Black to Black family.
Yes, so greetings all. I am Tyehimba Salandy. I'm a sociologist and farmer. And a lot of the things that you all talk about, I think, is really important issues.
Right.
So tell me, we just come out of the Carnival. Was your thoughts on 2025 Carnival?
Well, I was very impressed by the contributions of young brother. I think that we have so much examples of people like him who reflect the genius that exists in the so-called ghetto. But when they go to our schools and other institutes, they are labeled deviant, they are labeled criminal, they are labeled dunce. Because the systems we have, which are plantation institutions, are insufficient to really nurture the sensitivities and experiences that come out of certain places. So we have so much people who get lost, who just have so much to offer, but because they get labeled and excluded a certain way, they turn that creative energies in negative ways. So I know a lot of young people who real bright, who could real work out things, but they're not getting that support. You know, so it is a sense that the carnival is a reflection of what's happening in society. And we have a lot of trauma and unaddressed issues to deal with. And a person such as a young brother may be the exception, a person who is able to really come forward with that kind of explosive power. But it have many others like him who just because of these circumstances not able to break free. So I do farming. And at times you have a plant that you planted in a spot for years and it's the same height. It sometimes get worse. You take that same plant and move it to a different environment where it may be getting more sunlight, more water, better soil. And you'll be surprised at the transformation of that plant. So it's not the plant that is the problem. It's not the plant that is criminal and deviant, but it's the environment. So if there's so much crime and violence in the society, we have to ask ourselves, what is the root cause?
What is the root cause?
So, yes, you say something in a real well-educated way that we didn't say that way. You know, we might say it a little more rough. You know, smooth. You know, some nice and paper there. Plenty of us in denial when it comes to the system that governs us today. And the fact, plenty of us in denial when it comes to accepting the fact that this system wasn't made for us to thrive. It wasn't made for us to thrive at all. So, continued kudos to people like young brother and all the others, because he's not the only one, he's the one that shined this year. And all the others that would have come from similar backgrounds or situations, you know, and not just in the entertainment industry. You know, man might do so and listen to somebody that end up going and do a little welding. One day a man tell him, I'll get a change to come with man hold some iron boy. And he realized, I like this thing, man. So I work with the man and turn out to be an A+ welder, you know. Our education system does not cater to that. And just yesterday, talking in a school group, I was talking about that one of our principals, because we went to school together, based on what we went into success in, especially sports-wise, it was not cultivated. We went to school with some athletes and sportsmen, but the school was, at that time, it was heavily focused on academics, right? Just to get in the school alone, you had to make a good grade.
65 on it.
Right? And then that's what I was focused on. And I see it, as you say, it affecting different parts of the society, because how much how much of each children are involved in things in the environment where they go once in and I feel next year I want to make mass.
You know, you're touching on something there, right? And I was discussing that with somebody in the shop here not this week, last week, coming out of the carnival. Because I watch Parade of the Bands. I also watch King and Queens in the Dimash Grand. And when I really sit down and I watch it as a man play mass, and I'm saying to myself, no, this is not no knock on no community, right? And let me start out by saying that, because the opportunity is there, but it's who taking it. The majority of the kings and queens the mass, people who pull in the mass and the people who own the mass.
What are we
It's
seeing
East Indian people.
here?
Right? The majority of the trucks, the amplifiers, the sound systems is East Indian people. The majority of the bands now owned by the Chinese man. You understand? So my question was, why we not capitalizing on this? Right? Now, while I understand the history of the mass was people like us doing the wire bending, we doing the mass making, we doing the what's called that thing? Not paper mache. That what it's called it? Paper mache? Where they use the paper and that kind of thing, right? And the fiberglass and them kind of thing. I see one of my partners put up, he make a motorized butterfly wing using a window, motor from a window, a car window. And I saying, so I reach out to him and I tell him, I say, Bridget, I hope you keep pushing this. I say, because I feel like the bands that outsource and everything need to see things like this, that it's possible to make it here. And you should be looking for it here. Not just going abroad and buy 15,000 mass costume and bring it back. Right? So, as a people, I feel like the opportunities are there, but we're not taking advantage of them.
I want to go back there, but I was waiting on that first, but I want to go back there.
Yeah, so there is the whole discussion about the economics of Carnival that is important. But like most things, it reflects the society. But it's not just economics alone that could do the transformation.
Right.
We need to talk about other social issues so that people could link the economics to other social issues.
Right.
Else we just have a lot of people just coming into various industries to make money, and they would just become black capitalists, you know, with no concern. And that's extremely important because even in the legal fraternity, we have so much African lawyers now. But how many times can you recall cases where African lawyers would have used the legal system to try and further an issue of rights as it pertains to African people? So you have so much instances by which young children go to school and experience discrimination, exclusion, in ways that these cases are possible legal cases. But because people are so caught up in a kind of capitalist mentality where the aim of education is to climb that ladder of social mobility, there isn't that concern for the community and a concern for things outside of you making money.
Right.
So I think that it calls for a wider understanding of issues beyond just economics, even though economics is important.
Right.
The reason why I wanted it to weigh in on that now is because Karen asks, whoa, where are we in terms of, and for me, I accept that I have a few reasons why. But one of the ones I want to talk about first and foremost is access to finance. Because the person that owns the biggest set of bands and them
come from the bank. Firstly.
and he have money. Right? I tell them, we just say all kind of negative things about ourselves, why we're not doing certain things. But one of the most realistic things we do is like without the money. Have certain things we could get done without money. But to make a certain type of impact. And they make it so. Because do we have any instances where somebody go to the bank and say, hey, I was working for that band. I have my own idea for a band now. This is my plan here. I can get 300 people for this. This is the band size, 300 people, 100 people per section, blah, blah, blah. This is what we will do, this is what we will on source, whatever. We will get a loan for that. We say you need $250 million. You think the bank game, based on the current actions of the bank, you think we'll get a $250,000 to do a mass band as a young black person? And to me, that's the biggest setback in it. So when we went Monday night, I don't know, I was wondering if I enjoy myself outside in order because we in our Monday night mass band and I look around saying it and we partners do this, why are you like, yeah, well, I need people to come out and take that. because it takes a certain type of coordination. Sometimes we don't pat ourselves on the back. All we just see is the big grand scale. So we see the big group from who does go down in the West and play mass. But we ain't seeing that to do a Monday night mass band. Yeah, that's a coordinate a truck.
The bar.
The 2-3 DJs, the food, the security, the police, the people who you hire to hold that.
And we didn't even need it.
You know,
It had no strugglers.
Yeah, it's Monday night. But,
Yeah.
you know, but that is the same thing, just on a smaller scale. And again, I'm saying, I don't think that, I know for a fact that we could do it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you just always say, we just want to start big.
Yeah. Big up Eclipse Mass.
Right? Yeah. And the reason why I bring up that is, we so caught up in playing in the big names and them, you know, with the nation and them, that we bring out, when we say 3 of us come together here to bring out a band, they say we're the frills. I don't care if nobody say the soul, that's on the frills.
Yeah.
But we come up with a band with proper costume, proper truck, DJ, everything.
And security.
We kept saying we asked to start. And I think that's why when I say just now about the different issues, not just the economic mindset for me is that we want to who we support.
Yeah, because there are attitudes that certain racial groups are not good at business, and history tells us something extremely different. So after emancipation, it was the ordinary free Africans who expanded their business, who was big on agriculture, and you find that the plantocracy made certain deliberate attempts to downplay and attack the peasantry because they wanted labor for the plantation system. So we have a whole legacy of violence across the entire Caribbean against the enterprising post-slavery African groups, you know, who were doing things, who were setting up a market and, you know, and exporting and doing agriculture in a very diverse way. So we don't talk about that. And connected to that is really land. So access to land is extremely important because you can not only do things, but you could use that as a form of collateral for loans. So there was a law that was passed in Trinidad, for example, that said that free Africans that no one could buy land under 300 and something acres. So it means that land purchases was reserved for a certain monetary group, which would not have been the Africans. So you had all kind of attempts, you know, to reduce the power, the economic power of that post-emancipation class, and that continues up to today because you have inequalities in terms of how banks deal with people. You have perceptions as to who is good at business or not. You have inequality in terms of land. And worst of all, we have an education system that doesn't really teach business in a kind of way for people.
In a realistic way.
In a realistic way.
Yeah, they won't.
So we learn all sorts of subjects to study that for years and go and work for other persons. But we never really learn the skills and the practicality and the history that would empower people with the tools by which they could say, hey, I have the skill, I can take this skill and transform this into a viable business.
But, as I say, we could take what we learn and we pass these subjects for to go and do the same thing for someone else.
But that's what they want us to do.
Right? Because as I always say, there is this woman who is a politician now, but she came to the forefront as somebody who transformed the eating establishments and them. Take them literally from saying they was crashing. This is the words in the papers and you write up and thing, and transformed it into successful enterprises today. Not one time I've ever heard, and not to say that I hear or talk on it much or anything or read up on it much, but in no part of it was here reaching out to younger people that look like her or encouraging us to be in more businesses. Right? And that's one of the things that I have a real problem with today with the so-called education system, because as I say, it not designed for us to go further than we are.
Yeah.
And something I was watching on one of these social media networks, and it say, the man was saying we need to probably ascribe a time for this more than once for the year, where we just sit down, hush we mouth, and look back at what we have done since we have been free. And pat myself on the back, take a drink. Because he was saying, we are the creators. No part of it, I like that this was a white man and a black man talking. And the white man was saying, no part of the world that the Europeans go. You know, I always say that, show me, when they tell me I'm racist, I tell them, show me one place on the planet the Caucasian went and live in peace with the people that he meet there. Why they're looking for that? I will continue saying what I say.
Yeah.
They say, look how long certain societies, certain great civilizations took to build, right? And look at how long we have been so-called free and what we have accomplished, especially in certain parts of the world. And you would realize that while we're behind, why does always say we're not supposed to be measuring ourselves to them?
Well, that is an interesting point, because when you look at Trinidad and Tobago and you take some of the major events that have happened that have transformed human rights and social progress, most of them have come from the groups and places and spaces that they call ghetto, that they criminalize. So whether it's Steel Pan, Calypso, the Black Power movement, the 1930s worker uprisings, all of these movements were criminalized, were seen in a very negative light, and came out of the bowels of the so-called ghetto. So what they have, the prejudices against, actually is where the potential magic is.
Yes.
But if when those students go to schools, they're being excluded and not given that proper nurturing, what do we expect them to do?
Exactly. Look, Morton say something here that I want to address, right? We have to be real. The downtown mass used to be violent.
Yeah, I wanted to address that.
Now, we have been sold that.
But we don't deny it first.
No, we're not denying it. Because they have elements of it.
Right.
But you see, the downtown mass that he talking about is the Juve. Right? Because when Juve used to be in town, I'm talking about Porter State, or the promenade up Frederick Street, Green Corner. Yes, the Juve was violent, right? Because you had fight and bottle and big stone and stabbing and what, right? But we move away from that, right? The mass, we have been sold now that it is unsafe to come downtown. I've played with 3 different small bands. We Mass, which is black-owned, Petal Mass, which is black-owned, and Paparazzi, right? And the 3 bands pass behind the bridge, right? Paparazzi passed behind the bridge, right? Yes, we did. And when I tell you, at no point did I feel unsafe. Because we come across Southkey, we turn up Charlotte by New City Mall.
Charlotte?
Yeah, right now Charlotte Street. No. Yeah. Yes, we turn up Charlotte Street. Right? And you go across, you make the right onto the promenade, and you go across and you go around the bridge. Right. You're going up Besson Street and you're making it wrong by Piccadilly and you're going through the back. Because there's a judging point. Right? At no point were there any incidences of anything, because the fellas and them just they gaping, they're watching the girls and them, they might come, they might take a small wine independent because they turn on rope at that point, right? Everybody take and everybody mix up. You pass there now, which is the lodge. You pass by the lodge, you're going up Piccadilly, wrong by the East Dry River, and you're making the bend by the bridge to go up Duke Street and thing. Even when we reach Shafford Court, in front of Shafford Court, there's a stopping point where you stop there, and because it have a little pavilion in front of the bar, people will stop and give the people a little hail and give them a jump, right? I say no problem. We had no issues, right? So when I say, because I see a lot of people complaining this year because they cross in the Soca Drome, and the Soca Drome was put there to sell us that not just town is not safe, But the wait to cross the stage is too long. And I am saying we are in 2025, right? Where you study? Where did your sociology? You in?
Yes, you.
University of the West Indies. Are you saying to me that all the tens of thousands of students that graduated every year in engineering cannot come up with a solution as to how we enter the Queen's Park Savannah and leaving the Queen's Park
Savannah? We have drones and all kind of things not to go ahead and
come on, faster than that. Now, I paid attention to something with the parade of the bands this year in terms of the speed at which the security was brutal. Them fellas and them make a chain across and you cannot break them. Man and woman like this. If some of them facing so, some of them facing so, and they lock. When them start to move, brother, you have to come off the stage. Right? So I'm saying, if that is the case, there must be some other way to increase the speed at which the bands cross in the stage so we could forget about that soca drum nonsense. Right? Because what the soca drum is doing is it is removing a certain ilk of people, a certain class, which is the elites. They go in west and they're not coming downtown at all. So now you remove the masquerader is now masquerading for who? You have no spectators. You have the groomsman can't really appreciate the mass no more. The vendors not participating in the carnival anymore. The taxi driver not benefiting because when he drop in town, it's no way to go. He drop in there, he go anyway, right? Before the taxi driver used to be taking it all over town because you had to drop a man sour, you had to drop a man up in the savannah, you had to drop him downtown because he banned all over the place and you had to go right through road and thing. Now it's just people just coming in town because, so, while in a portion of what Mortal is saying there that we have to be real about the downtown mass, it is the Juve that was the problem.
Well, let me hear you on that because I want to dig in on that too. Let me hear you on that with the violences.
I would say that there have been violence because that is part of our history in the Caribbean here because we came in a context of violence.
Right.
But my response to the wider point is that there could be many solutions to different things in response to Carnival or the society. But if people's motivation is not improvement, but it's about to channel money for certain groups.
Yes.
Of course, they won't listen to out-of-the-box solutions. They want a solution that is aligned to their prejudices. So we have many people with brilliant ideas, but because the leadership has been dominated by a type of governance that is not for the people, it's really hard for there to be deep transformational changes because our leaders not interested in that. They're interested in making the rich richer. So how do we have a system of governance and a way of relating that is more receptive to out-of-the-box ideas that doesn't come from people who are politically aligned? And there has not been that willingness and sensitivity to listen to out-of-box leaders on the ground.
So, I just want to add, when Mortal say about the violence now, first things first, Mortal, I will never deny that it had violence and still to some extent have certain acts of violence in it. But when it comes to the Carnival Tuesday and Monday Mass, especially going around the bridge, that's an excuse. An excuse and a cop-out to do what they had to do, right? What they had to do was to move way away from the spiritual stronghold. That's why I wrote on Facebook, I don't know if you saw it, that the spirit of Carnival is going to call Carnival home just now.
Yeah.
And when it called Carnival home, the people that would heed the call and make it happen wouldn't be nice. Because them big shots and them, what we just call big shots and them who move in the Carnival, so, them doing it nice. We get a nice band, it had this to cool down in, and it had this, and it had that. Right, them doing it nice. But the people that will come to take back Carnival and bring back some of the rituals in it, and bring back some of the revelry to the people that need it, they wouldn't be nice. That is an excuse for the violence. Because I'm going to tell you why. You always say there's not solutions to things. If the violence is the solution, and if the violence is the cause and the solution is to move it down there, what will happen? The people that committing the crimes will just say, well, they're going too far.
Yeah.
crime ever stop because something gone too far?
No.
They build a new community 15 miles away from everything else. It's quiet for a month.
Yeah.
So the same thing would happen there.
Yeah.
But you know what they will do? They will get the necessary security forces to get involved.
Yeah.
And that's all they have to do. I played mass and went wrong that bridge and yo, me ain't even studying around the bridge then. And I see this boom see why in front of me. Simply because the energy of wrong the bridge, what we have in my mind wasn't there at that time.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone I know people that play mass religiously for the last 20 years. Religiously. I've never heard them complain about
any kind of crime.
The crimes like that. And again, we're not saying that they don't have crime or violence.
Yeah.
Right? I myself see a set of fight something for juvenile thing area. Right? But I think one of the great things that they did is start to search people
Going into town.
going into the city, right?
Yeah.
So that's a solution right there.
Yeah.
And they have the front points doing it.
Yeah.
So that can't be the only thing mortal, right? A big part of it is they using every excuse and we buy them. We buy into the excuses that they're giving us.
Yeah.
As to why to move it away from it. I say, you know what I look at? None of these so-called big vans ever do anything in relation to Cambodia. You never see them in one of the fed have a little depiction on the stage of Cambodia. Because Cambodia is one of the reasons why you're making millions of dollars every year. You know you're not making real money? They don't care about the contest where you're winning money. The contest that you're winning money in, we're responsible for you being able to do this.
Yeah.
You know, I know we I have to win. So but Cambodia, you have nothing. You don't have on your stages, in your carnival, no tribute, no honor, no nothing. So that is why I said the spirit of carnival is going to call carnival back home, and the people that going to do it wouldn't be nice.
Yeah, there has been a neglect of roots and a way that we don't pay respect to our history. So we have people doing all sorts of things, but it is disconnected from a kind of way of relating that have the potential to transform things at the deepest level. You know, so I am interested in getting at the deepest roots of issues, so that when we do things, it isn't just a plaster on a sore, but we understand exactly what happened. You know,
And that will involve looking back.
Yeah.
So
Because there's a discussion I have in my school group a lot of people, and there's a discussion I have about it a lot. Oh, them thing is the past, and why looking for the past? I say, well, this is the past relevant, but you just only use it when you feel it relevant to you. You're looking for a mass band to play with. And you want to see what it look like in the last couple of years. You want to see how much people play. You want to see what the costume look like. That's history.
Yeah.
But there's something else. We think that history and some of these issues are the past, but in fact, all of these things are things that are happening today in terms of how power is distributed globally.
Yeah.
And they think that colonialism and all these relations of power is sometimes in the past. But at least 13 islands or countries in the Caribbean are still not independent or still have the Queen as their constitutional head. So the issues of self-determination and power and people who have been able to perpetuate crimes against humanity isn't in the past. It's happening today. There are people in the Caribbean fighting for their independence and self-determination.
In 2025.
Yes, and that goes all across the world. So we are still fighting against that colonial greed, the greed of multinational corporations, the greed of Western nations. We're still dealing with issues of racism, colorism, class, gender, religion. So all of these issues are still very much relevant today. And as much as people may go to different institutions and get educated, and they are sold a certain version of what is success there, the challenge is that model of success often is anti our own selves. So you go and you're educated, but there is a kind of mindset that you better than other groups, you know. So there's a lot to be done in our society, but hope for me really lies in the youth and the young people, because I really see the potential of people who haven't been so deeply condition. So
Yeah.
when you see a child 3 and 4 and 5, there's a certain degree of innocence, and there's a way that they relate and do things that could show us that, hey, how we are is not natural and inevitable. We have been socialized and conditioned a certain way.
Correct.
And all of those ways are against, so it's a disconnection from the natural cycles of nature. So that has implications for our mental health. That have implications for our physical health. So our whole physical health from consuming all kind of processed, genetically modified foods is out of whack. And now the science is saying that there is a connection between your gut health and your mental health. So Trinidad and Tobago is often seen as one of the most successful and wealthy countries in the Caribbean. But we have some of the highest cases of mental health issues, some of the highest cases of physical health issues. Our soils and rivers are some of the most contaminated across the entire Caribbean. So if we are the most developed and we have all of these issues, then I'm not sure that development is something that we want to pursue.
Right.
And I know that the political doctor, the political heads in the country would try their best to plaster over that statement there, simply because they make any money off of the so-called development. And people hear statements like that and they ask stupid things like, so what we go do? We go back in the Stone Age? Like, no.
How you reach there?
No, again, so just like the jersey that I have a jersey mark, black men stop killing other black men. So we all them kill white men?
Ignorance.
The jersey say that, so it's the same thing, like, so like, we don't want that development. So we go back to latching, like, no. We didn't say that, we just say that we have to be a little more sustainable, a little more thought out. You know, this byproduct that is our waste chemical, what we do with it? We start a whole industry. And we have thousands of barrels of waste product.
Well, it's real frightening now because the science is telling us now that it has so much plastic in the environment that we have microplastics now that enter the food, your blood, your brain. So maybe in years to come, the next generations will look back at us and be like, hey, these people were so primitive because they didn't care for the environment. How much money could you compensate when your river run dry and polluted? You know, so that sort of environmental consciousness, you know, goes hand in hand with ways that people have been socialized to be out of touch with the natural cycles. You know, so some of the best evolutions in terms of human civilization happened in terms of early Africans being in a state of nature, observing the cycles of nature and being able to apply those cycles and principles to develop models and systems. So all major religions came from that earliest context where people were able to work out their connection to the essence of the universe from being in a state of nature. So they were able to recognize the divine self within themselves and other persons. But when you have people who have been socialized to be so out of sync with themselves and nature, they're not really able to connect with other people and nature in that sense. So nature is something to be dominated, to be controlled, to extract, you know, to be predatory. So we're not really seeing a certain way of relating that brings about better outcomes. We're not really seeing the inner divinity in other persons. So it calls for a whole transformation in terms of how we think, how we eat, how we grow food, how we spend our money, how we have families, how we have sex, how we have relationships, how we raise children, how we educate ourselves. You know, that goes hand in hand with searching for better ways to do things that are not so contaminated by that lack of concern with the inherent good of human beings.
So for me, brother, everything you just said, I've been saying for, I've been called all kind of things. Look me at my brother here, was not sure, right? But let me tell you, years ago, there's dread back and forth on social. What's your brother said talking? Right? But here it is, right? And that was vice versa, because that's certain things that he would have said that I didn't agree at a time, and like, yo, that should make real sense today. Right? Something that we don't like to talk about. I have a lot of friends and family don't like this part of the conversation that I want to take everything in house today. The system that we live under and governed by, even though we don't see them in Trinidad and Tobago, here is governed by European thinking, a white man thinking. That thought process moved them away from nature. That thought process take you away from seeing aspects of nature and applying it to your life, where we find we spiritual systems that taught the whole world everything, right? To thinking now, I could conquer nature, like that hurricane that's come every so. Instead of I pivot and move, so I know June to November is that kind of thing. I'm moving my village from by the sea. We go in Monto till December. December we going back by the let we build a resort on the sea. And then we have something called insurance. So when the hurricane that bringing the water to where we need it, when that come and mash it up, we will take insurance money and build it back. I said that people that greedy exclude people kind of thinking come from one place on this planet. Because even if you find out talking too much African thing and we leave out Africa, when we come to America and we meet the American Indians, they didn't think like that. They had the same thing that nature showed them certain things, and they said to them, we don't own this land. No, we own the land. That's a foreign concept to the native Indians. Like, how do you own the land? Yeah. You understand? Right? You go anyway, when you go by the traditional Chinese, the traditional Japanese, all of them you find this
similar trend.
Right? That's why I like to paraphrase and tell them, just show me one place on the planet that the Caucasian went and leave a system. Because he leave a system here, so we come back right here to Trinidad and Tobago. We leave a system here, a Westminster system, a governance here, where the majority of the country could barely afford to pay rent and travel and eat and live good and invest in the health and all them kind of thing. But the leadership of the country just gave themselves a humongous raise with our back pay. And then when asked about it, was told that I answered that already, and the previous answer was yes, I think we deserve this. But the citizens of the country who you were supposed to be serving. I mean, when you look at what is the basic pay in the country, when you look at the rent and there's nothing to control the rent and them kind of thing, like, right? So when them thinking like that, how can we expect them to want to do things to improve the carnival, the mentality that goes to the carnival, and bring back certain things? We don't have nothing in place to demand that this world says the Mecca of carnival, and I take in that title. I don't care what nobody say. That I will stay here because that's how we go bring back and right? But you have nothing in place to guarantee that wire benders, costume makers. I mean, young brother and Squeezy Rankin responsible for me watching the march for the first time in a long time. Right? Same thing you notice, I noticed. A lot of the people pulling costumes, and plenty of the costumes are African names, but was East Indians, right? So they see in value in not just the business side, but culture, right? But where is the schools in Trinidad, the institutions? Like a certain, I wouldn't call the company name because I get no permission to do that, but a certain traditional performing company in the country right now hunting up and down for a home. This is our organization that around 20-something years or more.
Wow.
Travel all over the world performing in the Trinidad and Tobago colors.
And you believe how many people would be in their community doing good work.
Yeah.
But when they turn left and right, they write this one and that one is like no support, little or no support. So that community good, that community spirit, persons who work years, decades for no pay. You know, they haven't really got the resources to do more. But you also raise a lot of other important things. You talk about the Westminster system. Our political leaders like to talk about gangsterism and violence. But who is more gangster than that Westminster system of governance that concentrate power in the hands of two main political parties? So you could be the most honest, progressive, genius person, but because you're not aligned to any of those political parties, your chance of being elected is slim to none. Because we have socialized PLM or the UNC. You know, so tough. And even though we are independent, we have laws on our books that under the savings clause, laws passed by the British that is hard for us to change. And we are so-called independent
and sovereign.
So they have long gone officially, but their mark on us in terms of our institutions and religion and education is something that continues. So brother resistance used to talk about something called the colonial zombie. You know, you're not seeing it,
but they did.
And we haven't really had leaders who have made really serious moves to undermine that. So Eric Williams said when he became Prime Minister, Massa they done. And he said that in words, but he never really made the type of political choices to really transform the economics and the plantation institutions to make that a reality. In fact, he would have implemented ideas about development that reinforce Massa while saying Massa they done.
So straight up contradiction.
I got my brother.
Yeah, some comments.
I don't want to tell you because we time, but I will read out them comments.
Yeah.
But I don't say that already. I would like you to come back.
Yeah, this was epic.
Well, just recently I was telling a group of persons that I do not consider Eric Williams to be my father or my family.
I say that. I come back. I know if my father truly
he done for that for sure.
Yeah, because there are some things that we could look back on. There's always say when you're looking back at 2020 vision, but some things that was done at that time, like building certain communities, using the materials that they use, were advised at the time that it is inhumane to use that kind of material in this part of the world. And it was still built. Yeah. There are 2 communities in the country. Humongous communities, that the material used to build the houses and the plannings was considered inhumane for this part of the world. And they still went ahead of it. Read out some of them.
So Tatiana said, thank you, Karen, for that. As a Trini who grew up in Port of Spain, born on Dundonald Street, grew up on Duke Street, right after George Street, and Piccadilly Street from 9 years to adulthood, and worked in a mass camp I'm working mass camp for 9 years till I was in my 40s. That is poppycock. We are allowing the elite to mash up the festival, which does not allow the masses to participate as we all should. Osei said, correct, there is too much disconnect amongst history, culture, and current time. Fact. Tatiana went on to say, I strongly think that government needs to step in and put measures in place to bring back the pageantry and inclusion of local craftsmanship. These elite bands import almost 100% of their costumes.
We know that for a fact.
As a fact, So he said, those are normal issues that come with modernization. However, the sustainability of the environment and the well-being of the people ought to be one dominant priority of governments. Say, which should not be, and the prize money is taxpayers' money, and no band should be allowed to parade on the streets without passing through all the judging points to allow for the Trinbagonians to enjoy. Now, let me touch on this, right?
I know one to the stick up I never studied that.
Yeah. The reason why this, because of the capitalists or capitalism surrounding the Carnival now, one man has bought out the majority of the big bands. Right? And now sits at the helm of the Carnival Bands Association. So if it's 30 bands, and we talk this every carnival, if 30 bands make up the Carnival Bands Association, but one man controlling 25, he basically run the carnival, right?
Monopoly.
He monopolizes it, right? And he continues to monopolize it because even though a band break away from them, he done pitching them to buy them back. But the reason for that is because he has the final say in the Carnival Bands Association. So if he decides we changing the route, who going and tell him no? Right? But
who in charge of the route? The NCC?
Supposed to be.
Alright, okay.
Right? But it's a collaboration between them and the Carnival Bands Association, right? So it comes down to the fact that it is now a monetary thing. That the NCC probably feel like they can't tell him, nah, because if you take all your bands and you go west, what happened to the Carnival? Right? Which is something that
we see that.
We seen it. Right? So now my thing is, now I seen everybody clamoring and thing, and I saying, boy, if all the small bands and them say, oh, we don't want to go west, we stay in town. And the people say, boy, they go west, we stay in town. Then what going to happen? You and your band and your million costumes and them go stay in the west, and the Carnival go stay in town, which is what I think is going to happen eventually, which is what he's saying. Right? And I feel like there's no balls. Nobody have no balls in the NCC or in the Ministry of Culture to stand up and say, hey, here we're going on, big man. We're saying this is how we're going to go. And if you have a problem with that, you know what to do. Right? I don't think it have nobody with the backbone to tell him, here we're going on, okay. Take your mask, or you go west of that, stay from foreshore and you chip all the way down to Chagaramas, jump up in the sea, do all you want to do down there. Carnival, staying in town. We're not changing the route. This is where it is. You want to be part of it, you want to make money, you want to cross the stage. This is where you have to be. Right? Tatiana said, right, that. So, Mortal asks an important question, why is Carnival not a public holiday? And he say better needs to be defined because we haven't put anything in place. Where is the policy? Mortal just asks, why is Carnival not a public holiday? Where is the legislation? Again, who driving the legislation? The people with the money. You understand? The money is who driving the political parties because that same money coming and tell them, election is just now. That same man coming and say, hey, all our 15 million for your campaign. But here we're going on. Next year Carnival. This is how I want it. Bam, 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 bam. So if all they win, you know what is what. You know what I mean? One and only. Hey! Taika in the building, boy. What? We must say again. Who is this handsome man talking truths, boy?
Which handsome man, boy?
Which handsome man?
It
can't be me, because she accustomed seeing me.
It's not like taking that on my handsome. Taika, good to see you. Right? You and Jerry are going to come back, you know, the Carnival wrap up.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Something else you mentioned, and in going into that, you see, classism.
Yeah, boy.
I think we suffer from classism. And
more than anything else.
In Trinidad and Tobago.
More than anything else. More than anything
else. Hear this, right? So, I have seen students go in university and learn about Karl Marx. And Karl Marx talk about class and class consciousness. But even though they're learning about Karl Marx, that is not enough to change the deep anti-working class attitudes that are embedded in the entire education system. So you're learning about the man who perhaps most talk about class, but you're still coming out with ideas about the working class. So those sort of prejudices linked also to race and color are so deeply embedded in the very fabric of our society that it affects us in ways that we don't even realize. So there are, and then it also ties into the idea of certain prestige schools. So our entire education system tied to prestige schools, which are taught to be superior. When in my view, I do consider them to be superior.
In any way?
Well, holistically, not. Maybe they have more finances, maybe in certain ways they're better organized, but they have been given certain advantages. So at age 11, children are being told, well, hey, we are determining whether we are going to give you a life of expanded life opportunities or we are going to constrain your life chances. And that is what the 11 plus exam is. That came from a guy called Cecil Burt, who was a British psychologist, and he was also a member of the British eugenics Association. And he thought that intelligence came from your genes. So he did a whole set of experiments, and it was later found that he falsified his data to make it seem as if your genes had more of an impact than what was really there. So his work was so influential that Britain formed their 11 plus exams based upon that, and we inherit that. So we have designed our whole education system around the ideas of a dishonest white supremacist. So today,
say your name again?
Sir Cyril Burt.
Cyril Burt, you can get Sir from. Sir is for people I respect. But go ahead.
So the whole concept of these prestige schools we have today, is part of, I consider it a cancer. It's part of the cancer of the society.
That's why I said that we have a serious class system issue here, because we discussed that many times. I say, you know what you're doing to your child when you tell your child, if you don't pass so, or your child seeing from the previous brother or sister that do the exam, how you reacted because they passed to school B instead of school A. What pressure we putting on them, children on them. I say, that prestige school thing is not for them children. That's for your stinky ego. So you telling me because your child passed to school A, they're not going to be good in life?
So what are the implications when you have children going to entire schools that are seen as lesser than, and these children be considered not as bright, not academically capable and all of that? That is part of the problem.
So I will read out more. Tell last statement there before we close out, right? I like when you use that. I like that phrase too. We just use it. You say, these crime ministers, right, don't care about grassroots people once they make their money from the festival, and that is very, very true until you can prove me wrong. Any minister in this country, until they can prove me wrong or prove that statement wrong, as somebody going through the society and thing, it would seem, I just want to use my words carefully with them, because you know them as wordsmiths.
Yeah.
It would seem that so long as it don't make you as in a minister or the government or somebody wrong your money, or they don't care about it. Right?
Yeah.
And that carnival is I think I look at how much parts of the community have been doing the Juve and all kind of thing. I tell them that it had to go back to that.
That is what I talk about.
It had to go
I was
back.
pleased to see it.
Right? Go ahead.
Or say you ask a question before you ask for Tyehimba. How can we piggyback off of our culture to further unite our Trini people?
Good question. For me, the power is in the people. And the power really often is in the hands of still small groups here and there doing their thing. Once government involved, once big business involved, most of the times the essence of it gets corrupted. So things don't have to be big. There is a certain beauty in smallness where things are authentic. So there has to be a return to the sacred self, a reclamation of our sacred traditions. And the carnival is a nice platform for that. So me, I have no plans of being involved in big things because big isn't necessarily better. We need to appreciate the brilliance of our small men and women working in their corners and not just see progress and success coming in big forms. So for example, the government spend a set of money investing in mega farms because they say agriculture have to be big agriculture. But the people who have been feeding the nation,
This is small farmers.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm
happy that he said that because it been biting me in my mind. The show.
Yeah.
Right? Because we keep looking and comparing ourselves to other podcasts and saying, but look how much followers and look how much likes and look how much shares.
No, I was trying only shit and bacchanal and things.
So you see that concentration of the small, that is something I keep always happen on as well, right? Now, I'm saying this on the show live because I want all the people who listening from Success Lab until Composite School, all you join the group, please. Join the alumni on Facebook. It is Success Lab until Composite Secondary Alumni. We are starting off small. We're trying to rebuild the school because basically what the brother just said here is something that I believe. These prestige schools are not special. What they are doing is not special. What they have is 3 pillars, right? It might be 4. They have the Parent Teachers Association. They have Active Parent Teachers Association, the Past Pupils Association, and the school. Right?
Well, they also have the Concordat Agreement that gives them the ability to choose their own teachers, they give them the ability to choose 20% of their input.
Especially
and
religious schools.
Right, and more control over certain aspects of the school.
Right. So, I'll talk to you about that after because that is something that I believe as the alumni that we should also be pushing.
No, but
right?
I wouldn't be doing that. That was done for the religious schools and
right.
the government.
So we will get some fight with that.
Yeah, that's something like, and there's something they're trying to move away from actually. Yeah, people had was lamenting for it to be dropped on the whole. Yeah, you could watch a paper and say, right, I want this, and that. Yeah, have to come. Even if that will make 90 and they only get 12.
Yeah, they're inside. Yeah. So, alright, let's say he's saying here, oh, that's one, that. Alright, Taika said, there was up and down whole season, mind you, they Ep4 junior soccer winners from last year. I waited for my money since 2023, government and business with culture, we have to mind our business. He said it's all about the people, back to the grassroots, back to community. Yeah, we close that note.
That is, and I know one said that it seemed to be the team.
Yeah.
It had to come from we, and it had to be we.
Yeah.
Right, but my brother, thank you for passing through. I really want to call on you again.
Anytime.
To come through because there's a step further to go from where we started this discussion here today. And I realize more and more is that part of the discussion uncomfortable for some. Right? Because of the classism, a lot of people comfortable in what the carnival is known as. Right? Because them can either take a loan to play mass and pay the high cost, or they actually have the money to do it now. Right? But they see how much people being neglected. And actually not neglected, sidelined. Right? They seen how much people in the last probably 10, 15 years get out of work, that seasonal work for this time of the year. Right? They ain't seeing that. And because, as you're saying earlier, we've been taught to get involved in business. Plenty Trinidadians don't know you have people in this country that live off of seasons. So the Carnival don't make our money. Easter they might make our money. August school time don't make our money. Christmas don't make our money. We ain't talking about all them periods in between yet. But that's how the businesses function. Right? So I would like to have you back. Thank you for passing through.
My pleasure.
I'm sure that this is one of them episodes where we will get some clips that will.
Oh my goodness! I can't wait to put this in the first clips, brother. I can't wait.
Sure. Right. So everybody, we back. We went down. We jump up. So we back again. As I always tell you, live in love. Love is an action word. Support is an action word. We can talk it how much we want, but you can't talk love and you can't talk support. There's words that have to be done. Well, be safe out there on these roads. Be safe with children out there. Too much of children missing. Human trafficking is a real thing. Wherever they want to do them for the original, it is trafficking. Too much people going missing in this place, young and older people. I think it can happen to anybody. Right? They're nasty with it. Be as safe as possible, and we don't take things for granted. And we do our best to build back the community. So here, where everybody say tonight is we.
It's we.
Right? So, safe thing, and we meeting up again, all your love.
Any ocean to find it. Won't let no mountain get in the way. Hey. Come cross the water, been through the fire. you turn, you see people smiling. We don't see no creed and race. Don't want nobody tell we about leaving. We fight for we thing and this is we place. Take me home. Take me home. Take me to a place where my heart don't feel no pain. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Well, everybody shouting out right there. It's about rhythm deep down inside me. And if you're looking for me, you go find me. Right there, right there. I repeat the bim 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 right there. It's about rhythm deep down inside me. Take me home, take me home, take me home. Wake me up before I fall asleep. Take me to a place where lovers meet. Marry me to the heart of water Spain. So if I ever leave, I'm bound to come again. All around is fire and flames. Oh, this world is so crazy, yes. Protect we island, Father, we pray. Until the very end of we days. Take me home. Take me home. Take me to a place where my heart don't feel no pain. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Well, everybody shouting out right there. It's about rhythm deep down inside there. And if you're looking for me, you go find me. Right there, right there. I repeat the bim 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 right there. It's about rhythm deep down inside me. Take me home, take me home, take me home. Whoa, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah.
Black to Black, Black to Black, with Kieron and Orisha Lachey.